Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well. So in this video we are going to be reviewing The Old Guard, which is Netflix's brand new movie that got released over this weekend. And it's a really awesome action movie that is based on a group of mercenaries who have this immortal healing ability, a lot like Wolverine's healing ability from the X-Men, and the price that comes with having this gift. And like I said, it's a really cool action movie. The action scenes are really cool. The soundtrack is really great. The backstories are really cool. And they kind of set up this whole world without dragging the movie backwards. And in particular, the raw element of what happens with this gift and how the movie kind of shows this is really cool. And I feel like they've done a really good job in terms of introducing this whole new world, kind of acting as a bit of an origin movie in this film, while still making a fast-paced action movie. So from that point of view, I think they did a really good job, and I'm going to break down everything in this movie review. So the plot of this movie serves as a bit of an origin story in terms of introducing the audience into the world of these no-nonsense mercenaries who kind of save the world from evil people and destruction with their immortal healing ability. But there's always a bit of a catch, so you kind of see that this world isn't as rosy or as clear-cut as it may first appear. There's also a new fifth member who kind of joins the mercenary group, so you can kind of see firsthand the pain and struggle of what it means to kind of have this healing factor and to, like I said before, see that it's not as rosy as it may first appear to be. And through this new fifth member, you can kind of be introduced to this whole new world. You can find everything out about it, what it means to be one of these mercenaries with this healing ability, and what it also means in terms of giving up your previous identity and taking up this new identity of being a mercenary with this immortal healing ability. As you would expect, there's a lot of tension across the storyline in this movie, and it's really interesting how they show that the world of the mercenaries is kind of imploding as their world is really unraveling as soon as a lot more people find out about this ability. That's kind of where the movie takes a bit of a turn in a bit of a predictable format, in terms of you've kind of seen this aspect of the storyline in loads of other movies and TV shows, whereby humans kind of find out about people that are a little bit different and then immediately kind of want to test on them and kind of experiment on them and all of that kind of stuff. You know, we've seen this happen in The Gifted, where the humans find out about the mutant X-Men kind of characters and then kind of want to immediately test on them. We've also seen this happen in Manifest, whereby, you know, people find out about these creatures and people that have come back on a new plane and they want to kind of test on them again. We've also seen this in the Charmed reboot, where these magical creatures, the humans are kind of testing on them. So, you know, you've seen this aspect of a storyline happen a lot before, and it's definitely present here in terms of, you know, these pharmaceutical people find out about these immortal characters and then want to kind of immediately test on them and kind of use their learnings for humanity. So you can kind of see where they're coming from. But, you know, this aspect of the storyline is obviously not that great for these characters as they're kind of being tortured and tested. And that is where the kind of movie kind of takes a new path. But overall, you know, the storyline is really gripping, really interesting. I feel like they did a really good job in terms of world building everything, kind of getting your attention. And I'm really excited about seeing where this franchise will go next, as I feel like there's a lot of potential here. And in terms of how first movies go, this storyline has been really compelling in terms of setting everything up and having a really interesting narrative from start to finish. So as far as the characters and actors go, for the most part, they're actually really good in this movie. First up, we have Charlize Theron, who is an absolute boss and badass in this movie. She plays a character called Andy and just totally owns all of the action scenes that she's in. You can tell that this character has been through a lot, because she is a very layered and complicated character that is just an absolutely phenomenal leader, and on that point just leads the mercenaries in a really great way in terms of she is both compassionate and a really tough leader. So I just feel like this was a brilliant protagonist to kind of lead the movie forwards. Next up we have Kiki Layne, who is equally great in the character of Niall, who is a US military officer who then finds out she's an immortal, and her story arc throughout this movie is absolutely brilliant. So first she's really confused about, you know, what is all of this, what does it all mean? Then she kind of goes into denial and then kind of denies that it's true, and then kind of goes into rejection, kind of wants to reject all of this and kind of get back to her old life and kind of get back to the way that she was, and then she eventually kind of accepts it and then kind of becomes a great action sequence hero and kind of joins the team and is a really great team member. And like I said before, she's kind of like the eyes and ears for the audience entering into this world, and you'd kind of have the same questions that this character has in terms of what does all of this mean, what are all of the different abilities, how does it all work, how have the different characters dealt with this over the years. So it's really, really interesting in terms of this character being a great lead-in for the audience into this world. We then have Chiwetel Ejiofor, who plays a character called Copley, who asks the Tia mercenaries to go on a mission for him, and then he becomes a much bigger character, but I won't go into that here as we will enter spoiler territories. We then have Harry Melling, who plays the big bad in this movie series. We all know him from playing Dudley in the Harry Potter series, and in this film he is the big bad that kind of wants to weaponize, test, torture and learn from all of these immortals. So he kind of plays the big bad antagonist in this film. We then have the other immortal characters who you don't find out as much about as you do with Andy and Niall, but you know, they're there and they do kind of add to the storyline, but you just don't find out as much about them as you do with these two more central characters. But you know, this movie franchise will most likely get a trilogy, and hopefully there you'll find out a lot more about these characters. But yes, as far as all of the main characters go in this movie, they're really, really great, a lot of depth into them, great action sequences, and the characters are led brilliantly by the actors that play them. From a visuals point of view, I absolutely love this movie. I thought it was really, really cool how they did all of the cinematography for the film. It is very violent, but I feel like that really works well for the raw, gritty, dark tone that they're kind of having for this superhero-esque film. You know, it is very akin to the Batman darker tone, and I feel like it works really, really well for the world that they're creating here. I personally really like the soundtrack. I know a lot of people criticize the soundtrack, but I thought it really adds a lot of intensity to the scenes that they're creating. And talking of intensity, the camera angles for all of the action sequences is absolutely brilliant. I feel like it captures everything super, super well, and you're really in all of the different scenes. You can feel the intensity, you can really root for all of these characters, you can feel all of the darkness that they're kind of going through, and it's really, really nice from that point of view. So yes, the cinematography is really, really cool, and I really like how they had a lot of flashbacks as well. They had a bit more vibrancy in the flashback scenes so that you can really understand the backstory about these different characters. You can kind of sympathize with them a lot more. So overall, from a visuals point of view, I feel like this movie is absolutely awesome. In terms of comparisons, The Old Guard is definitely its own kind of thing, but I suppose if you were to compare it to another genre, I mean, its origins are from a comic book, so I suppose in some respect you can kind of call it a bit of a superhero movie, and kind of the abilities are very similar to kind of the X-Men in terms of having a mutant X gene that kind of makes humans a little bit different to other humans. But like I said, it's a very much smaller scale, only a handful of these immortal mercenaries, and kind of like the adventures and craziness that these kind of characters go through. So if you were to compare it to something, it's a little bit like X-Men, but tonally very, very different, much more akin to the whole Batman world. And like I said before, the human testing aspect has been done in quite a lot of other movies and TV show franchises. So from that point of view, you can definitely compare that aspect of the storyline to other franchises. But like I said before, it definitely is its own take. So comparatively, it's a very strong movie and is definitely one to watch if you haven't seen it already. So like I said before, this franchise will most likely get a sequel and a third movie as well. So let's do some predictions about what could happen there. Spoiler warning, if you haven't seen the film already, maybe look away now, as there will be brief spoilers in my predictions that are going to come for the second and third potential movie. So I feel like Andy will most likely get her abilities back. Maybe they'll find a way, maybe the lab assistant kind of got away with the test, so maybe they'll kind of come back to these characters with the ability for Andy to regain her powers, and hopefully she'll continue leading the film in the second and third movie. I feel like Niall will potentially go back and visit her family and friends, so there'll be a bit of interaction between this character and her family and friends. The big twist that we saw at the end of the movie, where Quinn is still alive, I feel like Brooke and Quinn will kind of join forces and kind of rival the current Immortals. And I feel like in the third Immortals movie, I feel like they will introduce a group of evil Immortals, which would be a real true kind of combat between the good side and the bad side. So I feel like the second and third movie will be super interesting, and I cannot wait to see where the franchise or the Old Guard will go next. So overall, I really enjoyed The Old Guard a lot more than I thought I would have done. I feel like it's a really, really cool movie, excellent action sequences, a really quick and intense storyline in terms of setting everything up, brilliant world building, by the way, for kind of setting up this whole world, and then kind of just supercharging with the storyline and just having really intense sequences one after the other. I feel like on that point they did a really good job in terms of, you know, like I said before, this does serve as a bit of an origin story for introducing the audience into this world and then kind of getting on with it. And I feel like they did that really, really well. A lot of other superhero origin movies are super dragged out, very long-winded in terms of getting everyone used to all these characters, this world and all that sort of stuff. And I feel like The Old Guard really demonstrated how you can do that in a much quicker, more effective way. So from that point of view, I feel like they did that really, really well. And like I said before, the action sequences were absolutely awesome. The visuals were really, really cool. The lead characters are really, really strong. And so overall, it's just a really, really great movie. And I'm really excited to see where the franchise goes next and what they're going to do with the second and third installment. But as far as this movie goes, I really, really enjoyed it. I'd highly recommend seeing it if you haven't seen it already. And for those reasons, I'm going to give it a solid 7 out of 10. I'd love to hear what you think, so please let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.